Kuwait has been going into an area of constant change in terms of the politics and the economy. We're in a troublesome area. We're in the Middle East. And Kuwait is, we call it in the Triangle of Bermuda. Small country surrounded by three large countries, three regionally large countries. Iran to the east, Iraq to the north, Saudi Arabia to the west, south. So we are a small country in relative terms, with a small population, but at the same time very rich. Kuwait is floating on a lake of oil, as you probably have heard this before. And Kuwait is producing in the vicinity of 3 million barrels a day. Now it's a very easy mathematical calculation of $100 per barrel. You're talking about $300 million of income a day. Add to that about $400 billion of assets in the reserves, in the future generation fund, and with the Kuwait Investment Authority. So Kuwait is a very rich boutique, but I wouldn't say it is a very well managed boutique. It's rich, it is small, it is easy to maneuver in it because the land is plain. And by the way, Kuwait government owns more than 92% of the land. That is not added to the fortune of the government. If you add that, you would, depending on how you price the land, you will get a lot more. You need to change the culture, the way this government is functioning. And that is, you know, the way that's functioning right now is going to create a big deficit. If not next year, it will be in 3, 4, 5 years. And with overemployment, look at the budget that was just approved last week. Almost 21 billion KD. You're talking about almost $80 billion. For 1 million people, $80 billion? To do what? Look at our roads. Our roads are in bad shape. Look at the infrastructure. We have shortage of electricity. Lots of our refineries are 30 years old, 40 years old, where Kuwait is depending on oil. We should be refining 100% of our production. The private sector now has no investment opportunities. So we in Bayan, like other investment companies, have suffered from the absence of investment opportunities. We've survived, and we hope we will continue to survive these obstacles. And we're waiting for the time that the government wakes up and says, enough is enough, we're going to change the way we do our business. And until this happens, the investment companies are suffering from lack of opportunities, investment opportunities. And when things are like this, the assets prices are going down. When assets prices are going down, the banks get worried. They don't lend. When the banks don't lend, there is shrinkage of liquidity. And therefore, you know, it's a rolling, it's a cycle. You see that, first of all, the Middle East arena is in bad shape in general. I don't need to talk about what's happening in the Middle East politically because it's in the headline news with every newspaper probably in the world these days. But in the Gulf, although we have a GCC, but we're still, for example, we're not allowed to work in our name in some of these GCC countries. And and Dubai, of course, has recovered very nicely in the last few months. Yeah. Abu Dhabi's real estate is still lagging behind. Saudi Arabia is improving, but we haven't worked in Saudi Arabia. Bahrain is not in very good shape. So what is left, Qatar is a little bit closed. So really, when you say GCC, it's not really very much open, except Dubai and in the specific sector, in the retail sector. It's not really. It's not really enough opportunities, enough business opportunities. I'd like to tell our fellow American friends that, first of all, thank them for everything they've done for us when they've liberated us and when they've liberated the Iraqi people from the dictator of Saddam Hussein. But I think their job is not completed. I think, first of all, they pulled prematurely from Iraq before it is really settled. And they are abandoning the Middle East, and that's why we're in chaos. And I tell our friends, the Americans, that they have been playing the role of the policeman in the world to keep the world at peace, whether through the First World War, or the Second World War, or the trouble in Europe, or the ending of the Japanese empire into the Far East, whether it's in Korea or in China. They've always played a role, and the last role they played was in Yugoslavia, old Yugoslavia before it got, by creating peace in Europe. And now I see them that they're having a very active role in Ukraine to get stability. I think they need to do more in the Middle East to create stability. You cannot fight criminal dictators by negotiations. You've got to play a more active role in helping stability in the Middle East. And the Middle East is always very crucial to the flow of oil to the world. And I think they need to have a more active role.